Hi, I'm Mrs. Montilio, and this is
Hannah, true.
and we're part of Take a Bow, and today we're going to be showing you how to create a zombie wound, part of our special effects makeup tutorial.
First, you're going to take a piece of tissue paper and you're going to break it up into the 3 plies. Some tissue will just have 2, but in this case we have 3, and you want to separate the sheets carefully and neatly. The next step is to create your fake wounds. Once you have separated the tissue paper into the 3 ply, you're going to create a set of 3 layers. Now you want to make sure that each layer has jagged or rough edges because wounds typically have rough edges. Otherwise, the wound will look fake. The next step is to get your liquid latex. This liquid latex I purchased from Amazon.com. You could also find it in Party City. Now, with the latex, I would put it in a container and then take a sponge and dab it into the latex and put the latex onto the skin, creating a thin, smooth layer. Then you will take your wound, your tissue paper wound, and press it onto the latex. Take the sponge, dip it again in the latex, and now saturate the tissue in liquid latex. You are going to do this 3 times for each layer of tissue paper. Again, you want to make sure you really saturate the wound to ensure that there's enough latex on each tissue paper. Another note is I like to start at the edges, and that prevents tearing. Now I will place the final tissue paper onto the liquid latex, and this will be the last layer. I want to make sure, again, I saturate it in the liquid latex, even the top layer, to ensure that there's enough liquid latex for all 3 layers. And remember to lightly dab. I like to start at the edges and then move my way towards the middle of the wound. It is extremely important that you make sure the wound is completely dry. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes. If you have access to a blow dryer, you can use the cool setting and use that to dry the wound faster. Next is the liquid foundation section. You want to make sure that the foundation matches your skin tone as much as possible. And again, you're not going to saturate the wound with foundation. You're just going to lightly dap the foundation onto the wound and get rid of the white areas to make it look more realistic. Next, you're going to open up the wound. Please be extremely careful when doing this. I recommend having adult supervision and make sure you just poke a hole into the wound, not into the skin. Once you have a hole, take the back of the tweezers to open up the wound carefully. Now that you have an opening, you can use a pair of scissors to cut the wound. I like to make the wound not too big because I usually take Q-tips to make it appear as there are bones in the forearm. It makes for a more realistic wound. Once the wound is open, I like to take the rest of the foundation on the sponge and make sure to apply it to the insides of the wound since it is skin and you want it to appear as realistic as possible. Then you're going to take makeup. In this case, I used face paint and lightly dap a deep dark color like black or brown into the center and opening of the wound, and also you can put it around the wound to create bruising. You can also take the reds to create a purplish appearance of wounds And also, again, you can put it around the opening, the skin of the wound to make it look more realistic. Remember, this is a zombie wound, so you want it to be realistic, but you also want it to have a lot of different colors. And this is my favorite part, creating the appearance of bones. I use whole Q-tips, including the soft cushion ends, and I place it inside of the wound. And before putting it inside the wound, it's nice to put a little paint on the Q-tips to make it really look realistic and look like bones. And you want to make sure you put 2 in there. So you can take another one, again, paint it, and then place it inside of your wound. And now for the finale, fake blood. Now this is wonderful fake blood because it smells great, it tastes great, it's edible, and it doesn't stain. The ingredients are corn syrup, red food coloring, a tiny amount of blue food coloring, and chocolate syrup. Makes for yummy and realistic blood. Now, don't put too much blood because, again, you don't want it to overshadow the art you've created with your wound. You just want to make sure you put it in the inside, maybe a little bit on the outside, and you don't want it to drip. You just want to have enough so it looks realistic, but not too messy. Very nice. Thank you so much for watching. This is Take a Bow.